Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. 20 likes, 20 subscribers, and as promised, I'm going to make a video showing how I did the code behind the Whales Datapack. I'm still going to be updating this. This code will probably not be up to date. By the time I release the video, I may have a newer version of it. But this is how the code worked in the initial video that you all saw being presented. Let's go. Before the video starts, go down and hit that subscribe button, and while you're at it, hit the bell icon to get notified every time I make a video. You can also join my Discord, link in the description. And with that out of the way, let's get on with the video. As with every data pack, I have two tags of files, the tick.json and the load.json, which you can see up here. So the tick and the load assign two values. The value that tick assigns is the Whales main file, and load assigns the Whales load file. Basically, the load file will fire once when I load the data pack, and the tick file will run every game tick, which is 20 times a second. So what do those actually correspond to? I'm going to show you now. The load function initially creates a scoreboard called Whale, which is a dummy scoreboard, which means I can edit it with commands, and it sets a fake player called counter to 0. So that's like a universal counter that I can access, and you'll see me access it in a little bit when I'm spawning in the whales. Then it creates the whale team, and it sets friendly fire to true, which means that you can attack within that team. And again, I'll explain teams in a little bit and how they work. And then it just goes through and adds a load of game rules that are necessary for this to work. So it sets do insomnia to false, which means that it won't spawn phantoms naturally. It sets command block output to false, which means that when I use the command blocks to generate the whale, which again you'll see in a little bit, they won't give any feedback in chat. And send command feedback is also false, because that means I won't have any messages coming when the player runs a command. And then it'll say that the whales have been loaded at the bottom. So now I want to show you how the loot tables and the structures work. So loot tables, I have two different types of loot tables. I've got the phantom.json. A loot table is a JSON file. It's a way to store complex data structures in one file. That sounds really fancy. It basically just means to store a load of numbers in a file that can then be used by the code. This is built into Minecraft. It uses these files to choose loot tables already. So all this bit does is it changes the phantom loot table. So instead of dropping phantom membrane, it'll drop a cod. It's the same conditions as the normal phantom. Then I've got the loot. So I'll just show you the speedrunner loot. This is the same for the hunter and the generic loot. The generic is just a mix of the hunter and speedrunner loot. The items will only get picked once that I show you, but what roles does is it chooses how many times they'll be picked. So the minimum amount of time that it'll pick it is once, and the maximum amount of times that it'll pick it is 4. So it can pick it anywhere between 1 and 4 times. Bonus roles, so if you have luck or fortune or anything else that will like affect your luck, it might add an extra role so that you get extra items. That's why Enderman usually will only drop 0 to 1 ender pearls, but if you have looting 3, you can get up to 4 because it adds 1 roll every single time. So then it's called the entries. These are the actual items that it'll scan through to see what item it's going to pick, what item it's going to give you. So the first entry is an item. Its weight is 4, so the weight compares to the weight of all the other ones to give you a percentage chance that that item will be chosen. So things with a higher weight are more likely to be chosen than things with a lower weight. So this first one has a weight of 4. It's a diamond axe, and then it's got some functions which will control sort of how the item loads into the game. So the function is set count. It sets the count to 1, so you only get 1 diamond axe. Then the function enchant with levels, which is the same function that you fire when you enchant an item in an enchantment table. So I give here the minimum and maximum levels. So that's like the amount of experience you have in an enchanting table is reflected here. So imagine that you're going to use 50 experience, which is a lot, in an enchanting table to enchant an item. It'll then give you those kinds of enchantments. So it does that with the diamond axe, it does that with a chest plate, helmet, it does all the armor, and it does all the types of tools as well. It also does it with a trident and a crossbow. And then here, I have a second pool. So this pool is sort of armor and weaponry and stuff. And then the second pool over here, again, will roll between 1 and 4 times, which means that technically you could get up to 8 things. And this one's a bit different. It has different weights. So you're quite likely to get a golden apple because it's got a weight of 5 and it'll give you 2 golden apples. You're very unlikely to get an enchanted golden apple, but it is possible. It'll give you 1 again. It'll give you 16 experience bottles. That's a chance as well. And then all of these are just things: Totem of Undying, Blaze Rod, Ender Pearl, Netherite Ingot, Experience Bottle, all that. And there's chances that you get those. Okay, so the Hunter loot, which is obviously going to be worse to give the Hunter a disadvantage, is basically the same. It's just got different items. And the generic loot is again the same. But as you can see on the right, this is an overview of all the code. It's much, much longer. Now I want to show you structures. I can't really show you the structure file because it's a very complicated type file. It's a .mbt file, which is Minecraft specific, but I do have Minecraft open. So let me show you here. So I'm using a structure, and a structure is the same thing that you have as a village, but I can create and use my own structure files using these things, structure blocks. I'm not going to attempt to explain how structure blocks work. They're really complicated. If you really want to know how they work, let me know, subscribe and everything, and I might make a video on it in the future, but not yet. They allow me to create a structure that I can then save and I can use it in my commands. So this structure is the inside of the whale's stomach, and I literally hand built this. It's the same every single time. So it'll generate the stomach structure and then teleport you inside of it. If you've seen Yellowwall's video with the cakes, for his birthday, I did make that, then you might be able to just know I use structures in his video as well. So this is the main one. This fires 20 times a second. And the first thing it does is execute. If you don't know how this works, then briefly, it's a command that allows you to execute any other command depending on a load of variables, and it allows you to choose who and where and what you execute the command as. So the first thing it does is it runs this command to help with spawning. So it executes as every single dolphin in the world that has not got the tag scanned, and it does a random dolphin, so it's a separate dolphin every game tick. At the dolphin, so at S means the person who's running the command, it runs function whales spawn. So whales spawn is this. And the first thing it does is it creates a command block that summons the whale. All that does is if the counter matches 3, so I have a counter that runs, and every single time that a new dolphin spawns, it adds 1 to the counter. If 3 dolphins have spawned, then it'll set that block at that dolphin's location to be a command block that contains the command for summoning the whale. Then the next thing it does is if it matches 3, so basically this is when this creates the dolphin, it runs the set block command. It sets the block above it to be a redstone block to activate the command block, and then it sets the block 2 blocks above it to be a command block, which will get rid of the command block. And then I have 2 more which will replace the block above with water and then air to just update the command block and make it actually fire. Then it'll teleport the dolphin really far underneath the world. Then the next thing it does is it updates the tag and scoreboard, and it resets if needed. So all that does is it tags the dolphin as scanned, so that I don't accidentally run the command as that dolphin again, and summon another summon another whale. It adds 1 to the counter, which it'll do every time. And if the counter is 4, then it sets it back down to 0. So basically it'll constantly be counting 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. And every time it's 3, it creates a new whale. So basically a quarter of the dolphins become whales. Back to the main function. The next thing it does is it adds the hunter tag to all the non-speedrunners. So this is more of a neatness thing. You don't have to set everyone else to be hunter. All this code does is it will set everyone who's not a speedrunner to be a hunter, and if you're a speedrunner, then it'll remove the hunter tag. It's very simple. The next thing it'll do is it stops the whales killing everyone. Because the whales are just phantoms, when a phantom is enlarged, the phantom will do more damage, and actually, at the size that the whale's at, the phantom can one-tap you. So I've set up a team called Whale, and it makes everyone join that team. Every player is in that team, and every phantom is in that team as well. When you're on a team with another entity, those entities won't attack you. So basically the phantom will think, oh, he's a teammate and I won't attack him. It's a very strange built-in game feature, but it's very useful for data packs. The next bit of code will decide when the phantom should, or when the whale, sorry, should eat the player. So it executes as every phantom, at every phantom, as every player within 4 blocks of it who's in survival, positioned at that X and Z location, but right at the bottom of the world, so like just above bedrock. Unless there's an armor stand there, which has the teleport function, basically just to stop it from creating 2 stomachs inside one place. So the stomachs are actually just at the bottom of the world. They're just to build a structure that generates at the very bottom of the world when you enter a whale and you get pushed inside of it. If there's already one there, I don't want another one to be created. I want you to just go into one that's already there, which would also allow you to fight inside of them, which is kind of cool. But if there's already a stomach there, then it'll run stomach enter 1. If there is already a stomach there, then it'll run stomach enter 2. So stomach enter 1 and stomach enter 2 are quite similar. Stomach enter 1, which is the one that fires if there's not already a stomach down there. It prepares the player and the area. So the first thing it'll do is it sets the block at the very bottom of the world in that location to be a structure block. Then it sets the block above it to be redstone to actually fire it and generate the structure. It sets the player to be in adventure mode so that you can't break any blocks inside the stomach. And it gives you blindness to make it look as if it's dark. Then it'll decide what loot to give, and then it teleports you down to the bottom of the world, teleports you inside the stomach. Okay, and stomach enter 2, which is the one that's if there's already a stomach there, it sets you to adventure mode, it gives you blindness, then it chooses what loot to give you, so it'll give you extra loot on top of the loot that's already in there if there's already been a previous player there, and it'll teleport you to where you usually spawn inside of the structure. Anyway, back to the main function. So this line of code makes the whale face the player, it executes as every phantom at the phantom, and it teleports the phantom to its current location, which sounds a bit pointless, but when you're teleporting, you can also choose what rotation an entity teleports to. So it'll teleport this phantom facing the nearest player within 14 blocks who's not in creative and not in spectator, and it faces their eyes. Because of the way phantoms work, this doesn't actually work in practice, and if you're above the phantom, it'll look down, and if you're below it, it'll look up. That's a Minecraft bug. That's not something I can fix, unfortunately. And then after this, I just have a load of things running which will stop the phantom playing its normal sounds, just to prevent phantom noises coming from a whale. I think that was it. That's everything I can think of to explain about this. As I say, I'm probably going to keep working on this data pack. I'm still going to make the video, the manhunt video, because I did get my 20 subscribers. Thank you very much, everyone, for subscribing. I plan on doing more and more and more content like this. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to go down there, subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time I make a video, and you'll have something new to play with in your Minecraft world. Okay, thank you very much for watching. And with that baby zombie piglin on a cow, which is glowing and invisible, I'm going to have to say goodbye.